All right, going to roll through these solutions for you. Number one, we have a right triangle here. We're looking for the length of AB. Make sure you read the question carefully. What do they want you to find? Put a variable there. That's what we're solving for right there. This is altitude drawn to the hypotenuse of a big right triangle. And we're not finding the altitude, though. We're finding the leg. When you want to find the leg, you're going to use that geometric mean. So it's going to be x squared equals, it's the leg squared equals the closer hypotenuse piece times the whole hypotenuse. So 12 and 3. So it's 15. 3 times 15. It's not 3 times 12. 3 times 12 is going to get you the h. That's going to get you h if you wanted h. Okay, so if you were thinking it's 3 times 12, that's why. You're thinking of the altitude. If you want the leg, it's the closer piece times the whole thing. All right, so it's x squared equals 45, square root. And then we got to simplify 45. That's going to be, 9 times 5. And then 9 is 3 times 3. So you have a pair of 3's. So that's going to be 3 radical 5. Okay, 3 radical 5. That's choice B. In number 2, sine equals cosine. Sine is going to equal cosine when the angles, which they're right here, add up to 90. So we're going to add those up to 90. X and 2x is 3x. Minus 3 and plus 6 is plus 3. And then equals 90. And then solve this equation. Subtract 3. 3x equals 87. And then divide by 3. And we get 29. So D. A 20-foot support post leans against a wall. Make it a 70-degree angle with the ground. So we're going to draw this picture out here. I'm just going to draw it here. There's that post leaning against the wall here. That's 20. 70 degrees with the ground. And they want you to find how far up the wall. So based on this reference angle here, we have opposite and hypotenuse. So we're going to do, remember SOHCAHTOA, guys? Make sure you know SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. That's what we're doing here. So sine 70 equals opposite x over hypotenuse 20. And then put it over 1. You just cross multiply, and you should get, I just got the answers here to save you time, 18.8. So that's going to be, actually, I want to show you what, it actually comes out to be 18.79. And look what a choice is. 18.7 is a choice, and they made a choice A. That's tricky. You got to make sure you round to the nearest tenth. 0.79 is going to round up to 0.8, so it is choice C there. Area of a triangle. All right, so area is 1/2 AB sine C. But in this case, we know angle B. So it's going to be 1/2 AC sine B. Okay, this is area. Area, AR. Area. Now they gave us the area. The area is 42. So 42 equals 1/2 A, which I know is 8. I don't know the other side. And then sine 61. All right, so half of 8 is 4. 42 equals 4 sine 61, and then times x. Got that x. That x is right there. I just moved it to the end. And then divide by 4 sine 61. Just solving this equation here. Divide by 4 sine 61. Make sure you divide by, I would do 42 divided by 4 and then divide by the sine of 61. Divide separately. and it should give you 12. Should give you 12. So 12, which is D, would be the answer for that one. Back up here, number 5. In triangle ABC, the complement of angle B is angle A. Complement means adding up to 90. So if angle B and A are complements, they add up to 90. That's what that means. So if two angles add up to 90 in a triangle, guys, the other angle's got to be 90. They must be talking about a right triangle here. It's got to be a right triangle where A and B add up to 90. That means angle C, whatever, right, must be the 90-degree angle. If A and B are complements, they add up to 90. That's the two acute angles. Angle C must be the right angle. So what statement is true? Well, we should know in a right triangle, the cosine of one acute angle equals the sine of the other acute angle, and vice versa. So the cosine of A equals the sine of B, and the sine of A equals the cosine of B. Okay, you should be able to switch that around. So they gave us a choice. You know, the sines aren't equal. The tangents have nothing to do with it. There's no relationship between cosine tangent. Tangent of A and B would not be the same because the opposite and adjacent change for those angles. So that can't be it. It's this one right here. The sine of A is equal to the cosine of B because the opposite and the adjacent switch. When you go from reference angle A to reference angle B, if you're looking at A, this is the opposite. But if you're looking at B, this is the opposite. See, it depends on what angle you're referencing. The opposite changes. All right? So that's the explanation for that one. In 6, I'm just going to erase that. That was just from earlier. What you got to understand here is that these triangles are similar. All right? You're trying to pick which one of these is correct. We actually had this on our last quiz. If the triangles are similar, the corresponding angles are congruent. So angle E is congruent to angle J, and angle R is congruent to angle T. And I know that just by looking at the letters. E, J, R, T. Okay, MM, obviously. So all of these can be replaced with, E can be replaced with J and vice versa. R can be replaced with T and vice versa. The answer is B. And I'll just show you why. The tangent of E has nothing to do with TM and JM because that's a different triangle. But again, E is the same as J. So this can be written tan J, tangent of J equals TM over JM. And if you look at angle J, opposite TM, adjacent JM. See that? Opposite and then adjacent. This is opposite, and this is adjacent when we're talking about angle J. Angle J right there. So you just had to pick which ratio made sense, knowing the SOHCAHTOA. You actually needed the SOHCAHTOA on this one too. In parallelogram BFLO, let me draw this out. Now O is the 126, so I want to make that O. So I'm going to go BF. You got to go in order when you label. BFLO. OL is 3.8. And then LF is 7.4. But you know, if that's 7.4, this must be 7.4. And obviously this is 3.8. All right, so I could make two triangles from a parallelogram because I know how to find area of a triangle. Actually, that's what I want to find. I want to find area of triangle BLF. That's this right here. That's this triangle right here. All right, so if this is 126, then angle F is also 126, and we could do our area formula for a triangle. So area, I'm just going to do it over here so it's not behind. I'm just going to put a little thing here. All right, area is 1/2 AB, so 3.8 times 7.4 times the sine of 126. Throw that in your calculator and you should get 11.37 7. So 11.4 would be the area of the parallel. Oh no, we're not doing the area of the parallelogram, we're doing the area of the triangle. Now, if they wanted the area of the parallelogram, you would take that and multiply by 2. And guess what? If you do that by mistake, look what one of the choices is. This 11.37 times 2 is 22.74. So if you found the area of the parallelogram by mistake, you're going to get no credit, even though you did some beautiful work here. You answer the question wrong, you're going to get no credit, guys, and there are always going to be choices there for you to pick. So now this one here is, again, that altitude drawn to the hypotenuse of a right triangle. The length of BD, that's the altitude. So now we do want to find the altitude. That's going to be altitude squared. Again, geometric means. This time it's this piece times this piece. But they didn't give us this piece. But they gave us the whole thing. If the whole thing is 16, then we should know the little piece, right? The whole thing's 16, and this is 7. This is 9. So again, when you're doing the altitude, it's piece times piece. It is piece times piece of that hypotenuse. So it's 7 times 9. H squared is 63. And then we're going to break that down, which is obviously 9 times 7. Because I got to do the square root. Forgot to do the square root, sorry. So it's 3. So it's going to be 3 radical 7. 3 radical 7 when you convert it to simplest radical form. Number 8. That's number 8. Number 9. What ratio represents sine of x? Okay, that's pretty simple. Here's angle x and obviously opposite, right? SOHCAHTOA, okay? Opposite over hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse. So 28 over 53, there it is, bam, choice D. Right, and then this one's asking which ratio is correct. So they're doing angle A. They're referencing angle A. So which one's correct? The tangent, the cosine, or the sine? 3 of these are wrong, and 1 of them is correct. All right, so the correct answer, I'm just going to cut to the chase. The correct answer is B, and that's because the cosine, A, adjacent over hypotenuse, right, is 15 over 7. 15 over 17, sorry, 15 over 17. So that's why that one is correct. Nancy's rectangular garden is represented in the diagram below. If a diagonal walkway crosses her garden, what is its length? So you just find the length of the walkway. It's pretty simple, actually. It's the Pythagorean Theorem. You have 2 sides of a right triangle. See the right triangle? You have 2 sides of a right triangle. You're trying to find the hypotenuse. You're trying to find C. A, B, C. Okay, so it's going to be, I'm just going to do it over here, 8 squared plus, you could do it down here, 15 squared equals x squared, and that's going to be 64 and 225, 289 equals x squared, and then square root of 289 is 17. So it's going to be 17 for the walkway there. Just Pythagorean Theorem, finding the hypotenuse. All right, number 12, we have a tree casting a shadow. Shadow is cast on the ground, which is shown in the diagram. We want to find the angle of elevation. Oh no, we're given the angle of elevation. We want to find the height of the tree. So it's opposite, and this is adjacent. TOA, okay, opposite, adjacent. Tan 32 equals opposite x over adjacent 32. No, 25. Okay, sorry. And then cross multiply, and 25 times the tangent of 32. You can do it in your phone. If you turn your phone sideways, it'll go into scientific mode. You got to have the auto whatever it's called, auto rotate on, and then that's going to be 15.6. All right. Number 13 is a ladder leaning against a wall. All right. You want to find the length of the ladder. That's this guy right there. So this is 30 here. 30 going up the wall because it's what it says here. So again, this is opposite over hypotenuse. This is all right, sine of 70 equals 30 over x. And then this one you got to cross multiply. X sine 70 equals 30, and then divide by sine 70. So that's x equals whatever 30 divided by the sine of 70 is. Comes out to be 32 feet to the nearest foot. This one, again, is just Pythagorean Theorem because you're finding AB and it's the third side of a right triangle. So it's going to be, except this time they give you the hypotenuse. You're finding A, right? So it's going to be x squared plus 1300 squared equals 1700 squared. All right, so just subtract 1300 squared from both sides. Throw that in your calculator there. It's going to be x squared equals 1,200,000. Okay, that's what this comes out to be here. After you square that, and subtract them, and then take the square root, and x is 1095. And that is 1095.4. So if you round too early, you will have issues here. And if you round incorrectly, you could get an answer that's wrong because they have 1096. It's 1095. You round down. So it is choice B there. All right, and then this one here, a stake is to be driven into the ground away from a base of a 50-foot pole. We got this picture here. They want us to find how far away from the base of the pole should the stake be driven. So that's this here. So for part A, I'm going to do it up here. It's, here's the reference angle. Opposite is what I know, and this is adjacent. So opposite, adjacent is TOA. All right, so it's going to be tangent 52 equals opposite 50 over adjacent x, and then solve it the same way we did this one over here, guys. Cross multiply, right, and then divide it out, and you get 39 feet. 39 feet. Make sure you're in degree mode. All right, I'm going to do part B over here. Just so it's out of the way, you can fit it down here. All right. So length of the wire, that's right here. So that's going to be W. Now I'm just going to opposite and now hypotenuse. So it's going to be sine. Sine 52 equals 50 over W. And then again, solve it the same way, cross multiply. It ends up being 63 feet. All right, last page here. We got two more, right? This one here, there's a movie projector, projector screen here. Here's the screen. The bottom of the 60-foot tall screen is 12 feet off the ground. So it's total height of 72 here. That's going to come into play. The projector sits on the ground, horizontal distance 75 feet from the screen. So there's that labeled there. They want you to find theta, this angle here. So to find theta, because we have two right triangles. We have a right triangle here. See the little right triangle? And then we have the big right triangle. All right, I'm going to, rather than doing that, I'm going to redraw them. So we have a little right triangle. And then we have the big right triangle. Okay? And that's what we do. So we find this big angle here. That's this guy right there. And then this little angle here. So find this big angle. Then find this little angle, which is that angle right there. And then subtract them. Because if you have the whole, right, the whole angle minus this part, that will give us this. Because this isn't a right triangle, so I can't use my trig, my regular trig in that. We'd have to use law of sines, but then there's a lot of work to do. You could do this with law of sines, but it would take quite a bit of work. This is easier. So this is 72, this is 75, this is 12, and this is 75. So I can do tangent. I can do opposite over adjacent for both of these. I can do tan. We'll call one of them x, one of them y, right? So x, y. So tan x is going to be 72 over 75. So in your calculator, it's inverse tangent, second tangent. 72 over 75, and that's going to come out to be 43.83. And then I'm going to do tan y equals 12 over 75. So I'm doing inverse tangent 12 over 75. And that comes out to be 9.09 degrees. So these are angles, right? So I got this big angle here. This big angle here is 43. And I got this little angle here is 9 degrees. And I want theta, which is the leftover angle. So I'm going to take the big angle minus the small angle. So I'm going to say 43.83 minus 9.09. And that comes out to be 34.7. Rounded to the nearest tenth. 34.7 degrees when we round to the nearest tenth of a degree. That's theta. And then this one here is a ship heading directly towards a lighthouse. And then there's a beacon 125 feet above. The problem I have with this is it's very tough to see. The picture's kind of tough to see. So I'm going to redraw this and just make it not really scaled, just so we could see it. I'm kind of blowing it up a little bit so we could label the angles better. 7 is this guy here, right? And then we go down to here somewhere. We don't really know where. But this is 16. And this is 125. So I just redrew this with the same dimensions, just a little easier to see. How far has the ship traveled from point A to point D? So here's A and here's D. So we're trying to find this guy right there. So that's our ultimate answer right there. All we know is this side. So we got to work in this triangle first. Wherever you know a side, that's a triangle you got to work in first. We have opposite of this angle here. And then I want to find this shared side. So I'm going to call this Y. We're going to do opposite hypotenuse. We're going to do sine of 16 equals opposite 125 over hypotenuse, which is y, and then divide. So y is going to equal 125 divided by the sine of 16. Once you do that out, so y is going to end up being 453.4944. So that's y here. This right here is 453.4944. All right, I know you can't read that, but you get the idea. I just wanted to label it so we know we have it, because now we can do the law of sines, guys. We have this side and we have the opposite angle. So I could do 453.4944 over the sine of 7, and then I could do x over the sine of something. Its opposite angle is this angle up here. Now, if this is 16, I'm going to change to a different color here. I'm going to change to black. If this is 16, this is 164, because these two have to add up to 180. And then if this is 7, 164 plus 7 is 171. You could have just done this before you started. And then 180 minus 171 is 9 degrees. So that's this angle up here, 9 degrees. This is 9. Well, that didn't work out too good. This is 9 degrees up here. Okay, 9 degrees. And that's the opposite of x. So it's going to be sine of 9 degrees there. All right, so we just multiply, cross multiply, divide. So it's this times this, multiply those, and then divide by sine 7. And you should get 582 feet. Okay, 582 feet, rounded to the nearest foot. All right, so I know it's a lot. Try to get through it as quickly as possible with making sure you do get the explanations. I will see you for the quiz tomorrow.